to comment on with this particular applicant and application.
Director Hogan, good morning. I just want to know, like, what are you guys doing within the community to hire within the community? Can you hear me pretty good?
I could not hear him.
Get some feedback or something. Can you maybe repeat your statement?
Yeah.
You hear me better?
Yes.
Good morning, Director Bogan. Just asking, what have you guys done within the community to hire local, hire minorities, women, people of color? Can you talk about that plan today, and what are you guys doing moving forward?
Yeah, we have reached out to some council members asking for names of people that we could get involved in the employment. We've also reached out to Douglas Community Association and Nicole, I think it's Triplet from Black Wall Street, and working with them. And we've done okay in my book. We've got, let me see, just going through, I think out of 20 individuals, we have 6 of color right now, and would like to increase that, obviously. We're struggling a little bit on the hiring right now in getting applicants to come in. I don't, not to get into a politics or anything else, I don't know if it's because of the stimulus or what, but it seems like everything kind of backed off all of a sudden, because we are currently looking to hire 4 to 5 people, and reached out again to those groups to try to do that. Haven't gotten anyone back just recently, but we're hoping to do that.
Thank you for the update.
No problem at all.
Have any recommendations too? We'd love any other feedback from anybody. If you know anybody and they want to get into the industry, we're kind of all ears on that. We're really trying to bring as many people in that have been, ill affected on this, and give them, a fair paying job and salary for this. So.
Thank you. This is Director Owens. I think our small committee, when we met with these folks and went through their application and the city staff's own comments on it, we were very impressed with the completeness, I suppose. They check off all the marks that we have, that we've put into place so that we can have a successful program. We're very, very impressed with their commitment, their real commitment to social justice and to diversity and inclusion and equality, and with particular note that they are actively recruiting and hiring people that have been disproportionately affected negatively with respect to marijuana laws. And I was very impressed with that. So I am all on board with approving this application once we are to that point.
Thank you. We received some comments from Director Novotny, who was not able to be at the meeting. Director Novotny, would you like to say anything?
Sorry. Yeah, this is Director Novotny here. Just wondered if, along the lines of some of your comments, you could just speak for a moment about, your goals or approach to, a living wage and, moving towards that for all people. And if you think that is a goal or an approach that will bring in more employees as you speak to, trying to grow your staff levels.
Yeah, certainly. I'll start off on this, and what our plan is, and I think I mentioned it to the committee the other day. I am part owner of the store with my son. He's 60%, I'm 40%. I'm 64 right now, And I'm not getting out, but I kind of want to, we're trying to make room for some of the managers to get into general management and make that opportunity available to people that work for us. Because being a small business, it's not like working for a large corporation where there's a lot of room for VPs and, 35 VPs and all of this and that. So we're trying to do what we can within this small company of ours. But the plan is basically, I'm going to eventually in the next year to 2 years get out of it. My daughter, Erin, she may be in this meeting. I'm not sure. I think she is, but she's managing the business, not an owner. And she would take over what I'm doing, where it's basically working in the regulation, doing taxes, doing the stuff behind the scenes, but then managing the store kind of from afar. But then that would open up, we would like to get a couple of GMs, maybe 2, maybe 3 that we could, because we want to keep some of these employees. They're so good. And being in this kind of retail business, you do have some turnover. So I'm not sure if I'm answering exactly what you want, but that's our plan, is to try to increase pay. Right now, our wages are from starting out at $13 an hour as a bud tender. And that's basically the person that is waiting on customers to come in and, give them what they're purchasing. But it ranges from $13 an hour to $15 an hour. Our managers, we have 6 managers right now, and they are all at $20 an hour. We're trying to get that increased a little bit more. But the goal would be to get general managers, and we may overdo it a little bit. Maybe we'll have a morning general manager, an afternoon, and an evening, but just to keep people employed there and have that pay range between $20 and $30 an hour.
Thank you for that.
Elaborating. I appreciate that. That helps when you can give a pathway for people, as well as an idea of where their futures may lie with you, so that it isn't a job that's a job with a lot of turnover. So that's helpful to see, and it's something that we can review year on year. So that's helpful detail.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments for the refinery folks, directors? Seeing none. If there's no more discussion, I would like to entertain a motion.
Moved by Director Novotny.
Supported by Director Ennis. I'm sorry.
Thank you for that. Any further discussion? Could we please have a roll call?
Director Bolton,
Yes.
Director Brown,
Yes.
Director Escamilla,
Yes.
Director Hess,
Yes.
Director Novotny,
Yes.
Director Owens,
Yes.
Director Bogan,
Yes.
and Middleton's not here. So
All right.
thank you.
Thank you very much. That passes. Thank you, refinery folks.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
really
Thank
appreciate you
you.
guys at Kalamazoo.
All right. Next up is an introduction of our 2 new appointees to the EDC board. We're happy to welcome Mr. Larry Moon and Mr. Tom Hayes. And we'll have a presentation by Mr. Thomas Colas, bond counsel, regarding the resolution approving the project plan for Life Care Inc., doing business as Friendship Village.
Good morning. Well, this is our second step. Some of you may remember we started an inducement resolution that the EDC approved back in September of last year. And can everybody hear me okay? Okay, great, thanks. So again, this is step 2 of a 3-step process. What's in front of you is a project plan. So that details the improvements that Friendship Village is planning on undertaking or has undertaken, because we are going to look to take out some bridge financing that they did for their clubhouse and aquatic center. Plus, we're going to refinance some existing debt that the EDC had issued for Friendship Village back in 2010. Take advantage of the very low interest rate environment that we're in to produce some savings in that regard so that they could use that for further improvements to the community. So the plan provides the details as to the allocation of what those costs look like with respect to construction and renovation and site improvements, and also the plan of financing. So the major part of the plan is the last page that talks about how the bonds will be structured. We're going to issue up to 20 million. The plan right now is to issue something slightly less than that to provide a little bit of flexibility. We have a not to exceed $20 million figure in there. Again, the idea will be to finance or refinance some of the costs of improvements on the campus, refinance the 2010 bonds, and also fund a debt service reserve fund. So as an investor, there'll be a reserve that's set aside to make sure principal and interest payments are being made, and to pay cost of issuance related to the bonds themselves. Friendship Village is going to utilize Ziegler Securities. They're nationally renowned for assisting retirement communities in issuing their debt. They're experts in the field. And actually they've, I think, issued all the debt for, or purchased all the debt for Friendship Village and a lot of the other senior care community centers here in the state of Michigan. So the goal would be to have bonds outstanding for approximately 30 years. Again, we'll layer kind of the new money component on top of the refinancing component. And then these bonds will be in actually $100,000 minimum denominations. So the target is sophisticated investors, as opposed to what we would call retail investors, which you'd have a much smaller size transaction of $5,000 bonds themselves and above. Here we're targeting 100,000 plus for sophisticated investors, and we think that's a very good market right now. Lots of interest in bonds in this circumstance. So the idea here is to consider the project plan as you indicated. Pursuant to the act, there's 2 additional directors that get selected and appointed to the board that serve just for this purpose. This will be for the project plan and for, if it continues to move forward, consideration of the bond resolution, which would be at the next EDC meeting. And the idea is to get their input on the project plan, since they are interested in the project, in the sense that they're residents or affiliated with the project, and that they have input associated with it. And if there's any concerns that they could raise them. That's why the statute has the 2 additional directors for this purpose only. Our goal would be to get into the market, so actually market the bonds after the EDC would approve the bond resolution, and then close sometime in the middle of June. So execute the transaction sometime in the middle of June. Betsy Bales here from Friendship Village. She's the executive director to answer any questions on the project itself, any questions about Friendship Village, of course. And then I'll answer any questions on the resolution or the financing in general.
Thank you, Tom. This is Director Owens. Thank you for the explanation as to why we added 2 more members to the board. I was going to ask if you would do that, so thank you. Does anybody have any questions at all of either Friendship Village or of Mr. Colas? Seeing none, that wraps up that. Unless there's anything further, Jamie?
Yeah, as long as Friendship Village didn't have anything to add, we can move on to the next item.
All right.
Well, you do have to actually have an approval of the resolution.
That's not,
Yes.
That's the next item.
Oh, that is the next item. Sorry.
That's all right.
Jumping ahead.
That's all right. All right. Our next item under new business is consideration of a recommendation that the EDC adopts the resolution approving the project plan for Life Care Inc. doing business as Friendship Village. After our discussions here, we will be looking for a motion to adopt the resolution approving the project plan for Life Care Inc.
Director Hess, so moved.
Supported by Director Brown.
We will want to have a roll call vote on this after any discussion. Is there any discussion, folks? Jim? No, okay. Could we please move to a roll call?
Yes, Bolton,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Escamilla,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Novotny,
Yes.
Owens,
Yes.
Bogan,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Moon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent. So that passes. Congrats. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. See you next month.
All right, folks, we're on to old business. Is there any?
None,
I didn't think so.
none for me, yeah.
All right, on to communications and announcements. Anything from the city? Directors?
Yeah, just real quick, it just hit me.
Go ahead, Antonio.
I need to share with pretty much the EDC/BRA board presentation I did to the city commission because I mentioned the EDC a lot in that presentation. So I'll get that to Jamie so we can get that out to you this week to see if anyone has any questions like next month about the presentation, because pretty much I incorporated a lot of new future work for the EDC board, just put it that way. So I think that's important you guys know what I talked about. So
Thank you very much. Any other communications or announcements?
There are also no citizen comments at this time.
No citizen comments? Any director's comments? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, Patty.
Thank you, Director Owens. This is Director Bolton, and I would like to call to order the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority Board of Directors meeting for April 15th, 2021, which is immediately following the EDC meeting. This meeting is being conducted electronically pursuant to the Open Meeting Act, MCL 15.263 and MCL 15.263A 1B. If we could have a roll call, please.
Yes, give me just 1 second. Director Bolton,
Director Nathan Bolton, Kalamazoo, Michigan, Kalamazoo County.
Director Brown,
Present, Portage, Michigan, Kalamazoo, State of Michigan.
Director Escamilla,
Present, City of Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo County, Michigan.
Director Hess,
Present, this is Director Hess, present, Kalamazoo Township, Kalamazoo County, Michigan.
Vice Mayor Griffin,
Here in the city of Kalamazoo.
Director Novotny,
Yeah, this is Director Novotny in the city of Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo County, Michigan.
Director Owens,
Director Patty Owens, Alamo Township, Kalamazoo County, Michigan.
Director Bogan,
Good morning, Director Bogan, City of Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo County, State of Michigan.
and I don't see Director Middleton.
May I have a motion to excuse absent members?
Moved by Director Novotny.
Support with
Supported by
Director
Director
Owens.
Brown.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please respond with aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. We will now, the adoption of the formal agenda that was sent out with the packet. Hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to review. At this time, I have a motion to approve the formal, excuse me, are there any changes to the formal agenda?
This is Jamie. There are none.
Seeing that there are none, may I have a motion to approve the formal agenda, please?
Owens, so moved.
Supported, Brown.
Moved and supported. All in favor, please respond with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item D is approval of minutes for the meetings on both January 21st and March 18th, 2021. Are there any questions or comments on those meeting minutes? Seeing that there are not any, if I may have a motion to approve the meeting minutes of January 21st and March 18th.
Moved by Director Brown.
Supported by Escamilla.
Moved and supported. All in favor, please respond with aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? New business. First, we will have a presentation on the proposed rezoning of the northeast portion of the north side neighborhood where the BRA owns properties within the 600 through 1100 blocks of Pitcher Street and the 800 through the 1000 blocks of Porter Street.
This is Jamie. I was just going to introduce our city planner, Christina Anderson. We had her come to our Projects and Finance Committee meeting maybe a month or two ago and sort of introduce this idea of some rezoning that the city's working on within these blocks. And part of the reason we're coming to the BRA board today is because those efforts are really rolling forward now. And as it mentions here, there are several parcels that the BRA owns. And I think Ms. Anderson will be going over that, but there's a third or more in this area that the BRA owns. And so she's going to talk about sort of the vision the city sees here and how the current zoning is a bit outdated for what type of development we see happening in the future here. So I'll let Christina.
Good morning.
You need to share your screen.
I do need to share my screen. So let's see if I have permission to do so. Nope, you'll need to give me that permission. So good morning, everybody. I'm Christina Anderson. I'm the city planner. And I'm going to start off quickly by just pulling up the map. And I apologize that it's not in the PowerPoint slides directly. But I just want to pull this map up. Can you all see that? What is highlighted in yellow on this map are the properties that are owned by the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. And so, just for reference, because it's kind of small, this is Frank Street on the south. Parsons is right here. Off the screen, probably where it says Brownfield Redevelopment Authority or just above that is Patterson. So that kind of gives you a general idea of where it is. Pitcher and Porter being the north-south streets. So these are the properties that this board owns. And let me stop that and let me pull up the PowerPoint and I can show you a better view of the area we're talking about. So this is the second rezoning we've done in the north side since the master plan. The first one followed directly after the Northside Neighborhood Plan and was very closely tied to the Northside Cultural Business District Authority that was created after the neighborhood plan. But, that rezoning effort and this have a lot of similarities in that we're looking predominantly at zoning districts, in this case, M1 manufacturing, over areas that are not used as manufacturing for the most part anymore. When we redid the zoning or when we updated zoning elsewhere on the north side, it was a similar situation, a lot of manufacturing and very intensive commercial zoning in places where the community had envisioned mix of uses, more housing opportunities, and those existing intensive commercial and manufacturing districts don't support that kind of development. So the areas that are on the map in front of you now are the areas that we're focusing on. The first and the majority of the property, at least that relates to this board, exists south of Patterson, and it goes all the way down to north Wallbridge being the east boundary, and kind of the railroad tracks that run along the Gibson factory roughly as the western boundary. All of these properties are M1. Again, most of them do not serve a manufacturing role. There are some intensive commercial uses in the area, but they are the minority. It's about, there's about 25 of the 80 properties, 75, 80 properties in this area. 25 are residences, a mix between owner occupied and rental. A large portion of them are vacant properties that have had demolition on them and are currently undeveloped. And then a smaller portion are actively used as commercial or parking type uses. You'll notice that there's a second square, kind of square, off to the east. And these are two properties that are currently zoned residential mixed use that are owned by Graphics Packaging. The aerial's a bit outdated. One is not covered with woods. They're both cleared sites. And Graphics Packaging is interested in expanding the existing use that you see there, the trailer parking, over both parcels. And to do that, we will need to rezone those to manufacturing. And looking at this as a package where we're taking a huge swath of M and making it into districts that allow more of a mix of uses, and then packaging it with these two parcels adjacent that would become slightly more intense than what they are now. It kind of all works together. We're down zoning some and up zoning others, and we're doing it in a way to keep the manufacturing out of the neighborhood, where we are hearing that there's a vision for a mix of uses and more residential opportunities. Okay, so the two areas that just got highlighted are not part of the rezoning, just for everyone's knowledge. Mr. Bogan, who is contract owner of 315 Frank, that property has already gone through Plan Commission to be rezoned and is going to City Commission on Monday. And of course, the Gibson Guitar Factory, that redevelopment is outside of our boundary. So some of the challenges with the existing zoning in the bigger area, and I mentioned this before, so I won't talk too long. Manufacturing doesn't allow residential uses, and there is definitely an interest in adding residential uses in this area. And one is also designed for large lots, and you can see by the block pattern that exists here, we have a lot of small residential lots, small streets that probably aren't meant at this point to handle manufacturing traffic, with just a couple of exceptions. And then on the adjacent parcels that Graphics Packaging is bringing forward at the same time, it's also the case that the zoning doesn't match what's there. Residential mixed use allows residential and some very limited number of commercial uses. It doesn't reflect what's there now. It doesn't reflect Patterson being a pretty industrial street at that point, and moving east. So what are we thinking about rezoning the area? It is going to be a mix of a couple districts. The vast majority will be Live Work 1, which is an extension of what we did in the north side, just to the south and to the west. Live Work 1 allows a mix of uses, both commercial and residential, including single family. So the single family homes that do exist there now would kind of be made whole, be made conforming as a use and a structure. Live Work 1 was created looking at our existing lot and block structure. So the scale of the development that could happen there under Live Work 1 fits with the character envisioned by the neighborhood. The balance of the properties in that manufacturing area will be Live Work 2, which allows a slightly wider mix of uses. It starts to hedge or blur the lines between some amount of production uses, but really with a focus on commercial and residential, but not single family. So residential, that's a little bit more higher, a little higher in density, a little more intensity. And again, it too is designed looking at our existing lot and block structure. And then, as I mentioned, over to the east, the two parcels that are currently RMU would be manufacturing. So to pair with this, what we're also talking to the community on, and I think it's important for this group to hear, is that we can rezone properties and have the zoning be, right in terms of the master plan and community vision, and that is all well and good. But we also need to make sure that if we really want to see an area succeed, that the infrastructure, the public infrastructure, matches the level of interest and improvement that's happening on the adjacent lots. And so we are committed to adding streets in this area into our capital improvements plan, our CIP, so we can make sure that the streets are properly resurfaced, that where there's key pedestrian traffic, that we are improving sidewalks there first and improving intersections, that we're looking at street lights and street trees. And so this is part of the community conversation, is to figure out what are the priorities, where do we need to work first, knowing that we can't do it all quite at once. So what are the next steps for this? I am speaking tonight at the Northside Cultural Business District Authority meeting to talk to their board and through their public meeting about this work, since it directly abuts the Northside Cultural Business District boundary. At the May NACD meeting, which will hopefully be in person, we'll be there to discuss this, which will be a great opportunity for us to really get more input on the streets priorities from the community, because we'll have maps there and they can, I don't know, pins, dots, whatever, tell us, we can draw on it for them. So we really get a handle on what the top infrastructure priorities are. And then the plan is to go to Planning Commission June 3rd. Other activities that we're doing tomorrow, by the end of the day tomorrow, we're going to have the presentation that I gave Monday, which the folks that own property within that 7580 parcel area, we're all invited to directly. That presentation will be on tomorrow for viewing, and we'll also have a map online where people can pin street improvement requests or other infrastructure requests and questions about the rezoning effort. And of course, we always ask people to email or call us over the phone if that is the easiest way for them, through the engagement hotline, which is a voicemail service that we check regularly, and you can provide comment on any project or multiple projects, and we get it to the right person from that number. So that is a pretty quick overview of what is going on in this area. And I wanted to talk to you guys before, again, some of you for the first time. As Jamie's right, we're beginning to kind of pick up steam and have more conversations with those that live in and around the area. Does anybody have any questions for me? I know some of you have heard this a couple times already. Thanks to those who came on Monday.
Fairly straightforward.
It is. It is. It's an area that the current zoning does not, it's obsolete. And so this is an opportunity to at least set the table for what will happen in the future.
Director Bolton. This is Director Hess, just for Christine. I just want to say thank you for the work that was put into this. A lot of people don't realize how restrictive zoning can be, and just really stop development as a whole right off the get-go. And I'm just want to say thank you for the collaboration that was done with the Northside neighborhood residents. That is an extremely important piece, and allowing their vision to be part of this, to work with the city's vision is awesome. And we hope that this part of the neighborhood, can see really nice development that fits the neighborhood and fits the city's plans.
This is Director Bo. Go ahead, Director Escamilla.
Yeah, so Director Escamilla, I was just gonna, you own a lot of property over there. And so what is your big vision for that? I mean, are you going to sell it to individual home residents or developers, or what is your thought on turning those properties over?
Are you specifically referring to the ones that this board owns, or just general city? You know, so at this point in time, my immediate activity is just to get it zoned right. Because it doesn't matter, you know, if we were to turn it over to somebody now, as you know, frankly, Mr. Bogan can testify to, if we were to turn the properties over to somebody now or give somebody opportunity to really redevelop it, then they have to go through this process alone. They have to go door knocking around the neighborhood. They have to go request from the Plan Commission and City Commission. And that, you know, extra steps is a disincentive to what is likely going to already be a challenging piece of property to redevelop. So I'll be very honest, Director Escamilla, right now my goal is to get the property zoned correctly and open up opportunities. And then, you know, we can continue to work with you all to match them. And, you know, Commissioner or Mr. Mitchell and his team and community investment, you know, is always working with those that are coming to us with ideas to help pair them with properties. And again, you know, these properties will probably rise on the list once they're zoned properly to start to pair with people.
Oh, this is Director Escamilla. Christina, thank you. I think, you know, you're just setting it up for whoever's going to purchase it, that they don't have to go through what Jamari's gone through. So yeah, thank you.
This is Director Bolton. Are there any other questions for Christina? If not, thank you again, Christina, for your presentation. Again, this was for information purposes. There's no action needed today. So I will move to the next item, which is consideration of a recommendation that the BRA approves a permanent easement to Consumers Energy for electric facilities on the parcel at 2304 South Birdie Street. After the presentation, I will be asking for a motion.
This is Jamie. I can step in here. I wanted to share a map of the property. This is a parcel that the BRA took ownership of a couple of years ago, and it's sort of sandwiched right in between the former Allied landfill site. And so we know that there is you know, a major remedial action happening in this entire area. And I'll pull it up on the map here and share my screen just so you guys have some context of what we're talking about. Here we go. So the area we're talking about here is at East Elcott Street, down south to East Cork. And this was many decades of paper manufacturing and paper recycling activities that has left behind legacy PCB and other pollution. And so this is a project that the EPA and an environmental trust left with the responsibility of cleaning up the site are working on now. And as part of this, there is a parcel here that was owned by another entity and had some other manufacturing going on that now the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority owns. Consumers Energy has been working with city staff for a while now, I'd say just over a year, on some utility lines, some electric utility lines that traverse the site kind of more on the southern end here and cross Portage Creek to the east side of the creek. And they're doing a project to relocate those lines. And the path that they've chosen would cross the Panelite parcel here. And so they're looking for a permanent utility easement to allow those lines to cross and help, you know, upgrade the service there. And also they have been working with the trust to make sure this is a path that works for the not only the remedial design or the remedial action that's going to be happening here, the cleanup that's going to be happening, But also they've taken some steps to try to help time that so that this line relocation and the removal of the old line will be done such that it kind of aligns with the other major construction projects that's going to be going on here. I don't know. So I know Rich Cherry has been working with Consumers Energy on the easement. It's in your packet. I'm not sure, Rich, if you have any comments. We also have Consumers Energy here, a representative from Consumers, Beth Evie, who can answer any questions, but I'd open it up to other folks who have any comments.
Right. I would, if there's questions for Beth, the representative from Consumers, I'll let her speak to the easement.
Yeah, Beth, I'm wondering if you could provide us with a little bit of the detail of the easement. There's kind of two zones that are included in the easement. One is having to do with what kind of structures could be or could not be allowed under the line. And then the other is a vegetation management zone.
Sure, thank you. I apologize. I was trying to unmute. So essentially, as Jamie stated, it's a utility easement, but for electric facilities only. With the line relocation, will be poles, wood pole, wires, in that and on the parcel. The kind of to a downside is that with the area there on the property and just topo conditions, there's floodplains as well as woodland areas from that we need to avoid, of which coincides and actually complements the design that will be made for the relocation on the parcel. That being that we will maximize between spans of the line between poles, minimizing the count of. Our team is going to meet with the city team on site. I think it's actually go through and walk the actual so that we can that there's not and or the most least obstruction to the property of the lines. And so in regard to the vegetation management, do look to have our vegetation, really the property is safe and the line is safe to avoid any type of grow and or trim back, brush, etc. when it comes time that interfere with the line. Our forestry team are truly experts in their field. Look to not thing in its path. One, because that would just be wasteful essentially, but also it's not needed. The cut does look at specific species, even if a tree is 40 feet tall, and if Asian pine, that's a hardwood and strong bearing tree, that would most likely stay. Management practices, we do not look to go in and take out everything. We really do try to customize, and we do customize to trim, maintain a amount possible, just to make sure that the lines and facilities are safe. Obviously trickles to ensure the safety of the property owner and the immediate community, but then reliability of electricity to the community. With that being said, we do appreciate everyone's time here to review the easement on the property as well as relative to the project and or the easement. So thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just add, one of the things that you won't see on the easement is a negotiated price for the easement. We worked with our city assessor to determine what, if any, impact the line would have on the property. He came up with a number, which we negotiated with consumers, and they will pay approximately $13,000 for the easement. Normally, with these type of easements, we don't see any return. And normally it's, especially with the city, they have easements, as you know, throughout the city for power lines. And so this one was unique just because this is a property that the BRA was looking to develop and in the future once the remediation is complete. So and the allied side is will be benefited too once those lines on the site, the old lines, are removed, and we have a solid timeline for that to happen, which the city eventually will inherit at some point.
This is Director Bolton. Thank you. Attorney Cherry, are there any questions from the directors?
This is Director Owens. Not a question. I did have a comment, though. I worked with Beth at Consumers for an easement over a parcel that I'm charged with managing. And she's right. The trees that they replaced were perfect species. They did all the reparations they said they were going to do, and then some, to really, help the owner to feel better about the giant facilities that were installed on the property. So I believe that they'll do what they say they're going to do.
Thank you, Director Owens. Are there any other questions or comments from the directors?
Chair Bolton, I have one comment. When we get to roll call vote, if you're able to have your camera on, that way you'll be streaming to the streaming service for folks who are watching. I understand if, periodically you have to take your camera off, and also if you're having internet issues. But if you're able to keep your cameras on, we'd appreciate that.
Thank you. So at this time, if I may ask for a motion to approve a permanent easement to Consumers Energy for electric facilities on the parcel at 2304 South Burdick Street.
So moved. This is Director Owens.
Thank you, Director Owens.
Support. Director Brown.
Thank you, Director Brown. This will require a roll call vote.
Bolton.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Escamilla.
Yes.
Hess.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes, and I am having technical difficulties, hence the reason my camera is not on.
Thank you. Novotny.
Yes, and I'm with Director Griffin on a little bit of a bandwidth issue here.
Owens.
Yes.
Bogan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have consideration of a recommendation that the BRA approves the reimbursement request for eligible activities incurred for the project at 162 East Michigan Avenue and authorize capture to begin in summer of 2021. After discussion, again, I will be asking for a motion.
This is Jamie. I just wanted to bring this one forward. This is a reimbursement request we received from the developer at the end of 2020, and it follows their development agreement that at the end of the year they finished construction, that they would put together this reimbursement packet and provide it to the BRA. I will note that this is one of 2 reimbursement requests. So they have full a certificate of occupancy on their building, and all of their improvements and work have been done to the building. And as I understand it, they are still waiting to put in place their final pieces of their snow melt system. And so it made a lot of sense that they, get all of their information and reimbursement requests together for this first set of improvements, and that they would be submitting to the BRA a second package later this year with the snow melt information. So we took this information and I provided that to the BRA consultant in Virologic. So we have Mr. David Stedjink with us here today. He went through and used a checklist that Envirologic was able to provide to us, and really did a thorough review of the entire reimbursement package, the original Brownfield plan, and the Act 381 work plan, to make sure that all of the costs aligned with what has been previously approved. So David, if you want to provide any comment, kind of walk them through what the reimbursement requests look like, appreciate it.
Good morning, David Stedjink here. It was a pretty straightforward reimbursement request. It included costs for mostly asbestos abatement and demolition activities, and brownfield plan preparation, a little bit towards the beginning of the ice melt system. Everything was fairly well aligned, other than obviously the asbestos abatement costs were significantly more than they had estimated originally in the brownfield plan or work plan. But there are contingencies, and that's the reason for contingencies in the brownfield plan. And it certainly can be covered with the contingencies, and we're well within the limits of that. Originally, they had put some of those asbestos abatement costs under demolition. We talked with their representative and recommended that they be properly characterized and that we use the contingencies. They agreed to that. That was not a problem for them. The documentation was all there as far as proof of payments, with a few exceptions on, frankly, some of the smaller costs, I guess. We had vendors that had emailed and said, yes, I've been paid. So that was a little less than the formal documentation that we desire, but I think it was reasonably sufficient. And then the developer also provided us a recent title search document that demonstrated no construction liens on the property. I think that was it. So we have a nice table here that explains where the costs are. I could probably make that print smaller for you if you'd like, but demonstrates where they are with respect to the plan, the brownfield plan and the work plan, and where they stand today. Happy to answer any questions.
This is Director Bolton. Are there any questions from the directors?
This is Director Middleton. I don't have a question. I just wanted to apologize for my tardiness this morning. I got my second dose of the vaccine yesterday, and I'm on the struggle bus a little bit, but I missed the initial roll call. So to the extent it's relevant with regard to the open meetings requirement, I'm coming to you here from the city of Kalamazoo, to state of Michigan. And to the extent I can participate in any subsequent votes, I'm happy to do so, but maybe I missed the boat on that. So apologies, and here with you now.
Thank you, Director Middleton. I guess I'll confirm with Attorney Cherry. He's okay to vote at this point going forward?
Going forward, yes.
Okay.
Prior to his arrival, going back retroactive.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect.
Just going forward, though.
Right. No.
Okay.
Well, and I apologize too, because I have to drop off. And so while he comes on, I have to unfortunately be at a 9 o'clock meeting. And I hopefully we have a quorum.
Thank you, Director Brown.
I'm just counting. Sorry.
We're good. Thank you again, Director Brown. So at this point, if there are not any additional questions at this time, may I have a motion to approve the reimbursement request for eligible activities incurred for the project at 162 East Michigan Avenue and authorize capture to begin in the summer of 2021?
This is Director Owens. So moved.
Thank you, Director Owens.
Director Middleton, second.
It's been moved by Director Owens and supported by Director Middleton. Thank you. And this will also be a roll call vote.
Bolton,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Escamilla,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Novotny,
Yes.
Owens,
Yes.
Bogan,
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we will move to old business. Consideration of a recommendation that the BRA approves an amendment to the purchase agreement with Innovative Design Properties LLC for redevelopment of 809, 813, and 817 Porter Street. Again, after the presentation / discussion, we'll be asking for a motion.
This is Jamie. Thank you, Chair Bolton. We just wanted to bring forward as staff this recommendation to extend or amend the purchase agreement that the BRA originally approved last fall with Innovative Design Properties LLC. If you recall, Mr. Credell Jackson came to the board and provided a nice presentation about his business at an adjacent property and the work that he's been doing. So he has the sign company and he's been improving his own parcel for quite some time, expanding his business. And one of the things that his property really lacked was adequate frontage and proper access to his business. There was a lack of parking. And so by offering him an opportunity to purchase 3 side lots, parcels that the BRA owned at 809, 813, and 817 Porter Street, he was going to be able to put in a parking lot and proper ingress and egress to his business. Since that time, because it was sort of a simple side lot purchase agreement, the way the agreement read, it was a really simple and very fast turnaround time of 30 days for any environmental due diligence and closing. And one of the requirements at the city is that any properties that we sell, the new owner has to be in good standing with the city, not have any outstanding fees or taxes due. And in this situation, Mr. Jackson does have a utility connection fee that he's been paying down for a little while now that he incurred when he did some improvements on his own property. He has an outstanding bill of $3,090. And we had given him the option, he could bring that to closing and we could close quickly on the property, or that we could give him some time to pay down that bill since he has been paying that in sort of incrementally over the last few months. And so he had asked for 6 months to take care of that bill. His business, he had mentioned, has been impacted by the pandemic and he's starting to kind of get back up open and back to full operation. And so he felt like that 6 months would give him time to settle up that outstanding bill and then close on the property by October. The amendment here in total would give him about 1 year for closing. We often do that on some of our larger development projects. So I think it's really in line with what the BRA has done for other developers. So we wanted to bring that forward to you as a recommendation. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
This is Director Bolton. Are there any questions from the directors? Seeing that there are not any questions, if I may have a motion to approve the amendment to the purchase agreement with Innovative Design Properties LLC for redevelopment of 809, 813, and 817 Porter Street.
Director Hess, so moved.
Support by Novotny.
Thank you, Director Hess and Director Novotny. Again, this will be a roll call vote.
This is Jamie, and I will start with Bolton.
Yes.
Escamilla.
Yes.
Hess.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Novotny.
Yes.
Owens.
Yes.
Bogan.
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes. Thank you. Next, we will have an update on the project proposal submitted to the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, also known as EGLE, for Brownfield grants.
Thank you, Chair Bolton. This is Jamie again. I wanted to provide the board with information that we received from EGLE earlier this month. They are finally through all of their vetting of all of the proposals that they received for Brownfield cleanup grants for this year. If you recall, the BRA and the EDC both had submitted one project proposal. The first was for a property that the Brownfield owns at 315 East Frank Street that the BRA is working with Bogan Developments on for a mixed use redevelopment of the site there. And that proposal was put in January of this year. And then a second parcel that the BRA owns, they're working with a development team, River Caddis at 508 Harrison. That project proposal was, the conversation started with EGLE in February and a proposal was put into the department in March. So it was a little bit later in their process overall, I'll mention. And so we got word back that EGLE vetted both projects and is able to support the 315 East Frank project this year, and that they don't have enough support at this time for the 508 Harrison project. It's pretty typical that they do try to spread out their grant funding, which was just over $9 million this year. And again, I think that vetting order does play into EGLE's overall decisions quite a bit. They did want to offer some assessment dollars that EGLE has that they actually would be the overseer and contract with a consulting team to do a little bit more assessment work at 508 Harrison. They felt like understanding some more of the conditions at that site would probably help that project move along to a grant phase in the future. And so we're going to continue as staff to have those conversations. It sounded like it might take another month for EGLE to kind of finalize how many dollars they have for assessment and work on some sort of agreement with the BRA to do some work at 508 Harrison. What we're doing now to move forward with 315 East Frank Street, though, is putting in a full project application. So this is kind of the part 2 application that EGLE asks for by invitation only. And so that typically leads to a final grant award over the next several months. And so by May 1, we owe them a full application. Staff will work to get an access agreement to EGLE, and they're also looking for a letter of support from the city manager's office. So I'll work on that as well. And we'll put that project proposal or that project application together and submit that on behalf of the BRA on May 1st by their deadline. That gives EGLE up to 90 days they have by statute. They said they really try within 60 days to fully review that application and then turn around a grant agreement for the BRA to review and approve. So I would expect that hopefully this summer we'd have something back from them. So I wanted to give you that update, allow you to ask any questions, and I will certainly keep you updated on any of those assessment dollars that EGLE is able to offer us for other sites yet this year.
Thank you, Jamie. This is Director Bolton. Are there any questions by the other directors? Again, that was for no action is needed. That was for information purposes. So we will move to communications and announcements. Are there any communication or announcements? If not, staff updates. I do believe we have a staff update.
Yes, this is Jamie. So we have I have two updates, actually. The one on the agenda here was that staff and the developers went to the Michigan Strategic Fund Board's meeting back on March 23rd. And that project was up for some CRP, Community Redevelopment funding, and their TIF, their work plan for 400 rows, phase 2. So the apartments there, the second phase of 400 rows. And they were successful. We're happy to report that the Michigan Strategic Fund is going to be supporting that project with a loan in the amount of $4.85 million. So that helps fill a substantial gap that they had, and will help get that project underway. Hopefully, I think they're looking to break ground anytime now by this summer for sure. And so that was really a great news for the city overall. And then my second comment is that just to give everyone an update on our new board member that was recommended by this board last month, we're hoping to have Ms. Bear join us next month. We should have everything approved through the clerk's office and city commission in May, so that Rachel can join us and be sworn in and be a voting member by the next May BRA meeting.
This is Director Bolton again. Thank you, Jamie. Are there any citizen comments?
There are no citizen comments at this time.
Are there any directors' comments? If not, thank you all for your attention and time this morning, and we are officially adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great day.
Thanks all.
Have a good one.